It's my privilege to be here today with Thomas Zurbuchen, a distinguished member of the Swiss Academy of Technical Engineering, and an astrophysicist who eventually has made up to the top of the NASA. What an achievement.
Well, I'm glad to be here also, thanks.
How did you make it?
Step by step. I don't believe in kind of magical recipes. I think the way you, in any job, whether it's as a researcher, the way you become great is by just constantly improving. And one more thing, every once in a while recognizing when an opportunity arises and jumping. Okay. So it's a bit of those are the two elements. The first one is constant work. It's not glorious. It's not something people talk about. It's just kind of, for an athlete, the times they just work. They work out, they lift weight. It's that. And then the leap. There's an opportunity, let's go try.
What is the importance of technology in your life?
I think technology is, for me, one of the parts that give hope for the future, right? Because in many ways, technology is an enabler. There's no such thing as a telescope looking at the deep universe or a rover on Mars without technology. It's the toolbox of in which we build the future.
And what do you expect from the technology?
I expect the technology, I expect it to teach us new things about nature, but also expect it to come up with solutions for some of the biggest problems we have.
Mm-hmm. And do you are sometimes afraid because of the development of the technology?
Well, I think there's, for everyone, new technology, kind of as we look into the future, there's always tremendous hope and there's tremendous fear. Mm-hmm. And great leadership is needed to go towards hope and away from fear. But fear is there. I think we should think about it, but we should move towards hope.
Because it's also a part of a mission within the SATW. And what can we do to reassure to people about the technology?
I think it's important to take seriously the worries that are there. I don't think we should ignore them. That's the opposite of what I'm advocating. But I think it's important to also kind of recognize and balance the discussion with really say, what are the opportunities and what can these technologies enable for us? Imagine, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, the amazing opportunity for climate change, kind of taking space data that it's abundant and figuring out important aspects of individuals that can be helped with these data. That happens through AI, not by individuals.
When we go to space, space is avid about technology. How do you get access to this technology? Do you develop it yourself, or do you outsource, or do you insource this technology?
I think it's really important to recognize what is technology you need to buy. If there's many people who can do it, except if you have a really good idea, just buy it, right? We shouldn't build a computer. We can just go buy one.
So in this case, is by collaborating with others?
Yeah, collaborate with others. I'm just in general, I think teams solve problems, not individuals, always when it comes to big research.
And what is the recipe to make sure that collaboration is going the right way? Because sometimes when you need to bring people together, is where there are problems.
Oh yeah, of course. Especially if the people are not the same as you. I mean, it takes time to build a great team. It's very easy to build a team out of people who are like you, because you walk in the door, everybody already thinks the same way. But that team is only as good as you. So the trick is to give that time and really recognize that you want to work on the best idea, not your best idea.
How do you rate Switzerland's position in technology development?
I mean, obviously, for its size, Switzerland is a mecca of technology.
So say, for his size, what does it mean?
Well, it basically means that if I look at the 8 million people or whatever, 9 million people that are in Switzerland, you look at the total technologies, it's very hard to find any 8 or 9 million people that have that kind of technology anywhere on Earth. What's also important, though, and what I really want to focus on is, kind of elevate it. And kind of the way I think about technology is always in pyramids. There's kind of small players that do important work, but kind of things that may or may not work. And then at the very top are the things we're talking about, because you can see it from afar. So what I really would like to do, especially in space, is to elevate the tops. So how do we make the companies that are there bigger? And because then they're visible, because then kind of influence happens here also. So there's many good components, and as always, it's just about improving that. But for me especially, it's how do we focus towards excellence?
Yes, what we usually consider space as is certainly a catalyst for the development of technologies. What about the spillover process?
Well, I mean, for me, space itself is the place where we understand climate change and also where we can assess solutions. There's many people who say we have solutions. Are they really implementing them? Let's go check. We can check. Only from space, frankly. There's very, very few places for that. There are spillovers all over, and a lot of it comes downstream from these data, but also from the technologies, kind of whether it's adaptive optics, whether it is novel energy solutions, whether it is kind of utilizing kind of resources that we're doing in the space station. Those problems are really modern. And so how do we use them into our world? Kind of often what we do is we forget that they came from there. It's very hard to imagine an iPhone or any of these phones that we have in our pockets without fundamental research. Because I can say this came from NASA, this came from CERN, this came from, the fundamental research. But the fact is, without it, all the communication we do today is just an imagination.
It's very interesting as what you say, because I just read a report from Eric Schmidt, a very famous as a VC, and actually he's been asking to make a check on where is the stage of the technology in America. And he was very concerned, his conclusion, suggesting that actually when he compared with China, with other countries, he was seeing that they were progressing, and that was not the case in the USA, suggesting that actually we should invest more. Are you concerned by this sovereignty, by this technology sovereignty?
First and foremost, we should always worry, especially if there are players on Earth that do not have the good of the Earth in mind, or at least the good of the people that value freedom. We should worry. I think we should also, as we look at the problems that we have, we should think about where we can invest more. And it is true that if you look at the investments in the United States in fundamental research, that the US has divested itself in many of the areas, not everywhere, but in some of the areas. If you do the same in Germany, if you do the same in Switzerland, if you do the same in France, similar trends are arising. And kind of in the Western world, those of us who really believe kind of in the freedom of the individuals, in empowering people, we should take to heart that we really move forward here.
But more broadly, what are the challenges we are facing now?
Obviously, the first challenge that we're in is one that relates to the global environment as a whole. I think the second one is kind of more on the social science, but very much related to resources also, relates to the challenges that democracies around the world are experiencing, and kind of extremism, even in democracies that are emerging in multiple areas, and there's multiple others.
And what will be the contribution of technology to solve these problems?
There's multiple of the solutions. We talked about some of them for the Earth already in space. There's also new solutions, energy solutions we need to develop, whether it's fusion, whether it's new storage solutions, batteries, whether it's new materials, whatever that might be.
And what will be the legacy you want to leave?
I think generally speaking, I don't think of legacy of me personally as a desirable goal for humanity. What I'd really like to do is kind of enable more research, better research, kind of research that is really inspiring, like the research that inspired me personally, but also solutions and scalability for solutions, whether it's an entrepreneurial matter and technological matters that are there. So for me, I would like to be counted, of course, kind of assessed both as a father, as a husband, as a friend, but also as an enabler for others. Kind of the question is, are we making the next generation more successful than ours was? That's how I would like to be measured. That's how I'd like to be measured here at this university, but across Switzerland, and the same way also in the US and elsewhere.
Thank you very much, Thomas Zurbuchen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.